Cue this up to the beginning and get it on 5 times speed.
5 times?
Oh, sorry, 1.5. 5 times would be insane,
like,
right?
How are we gonna even understand that?
We might be able to understand it. You want to try?
Yeah, let's do it.
It doesn't
go that high. It only goes up like 2 times speed, right? 2.5.
Yes. Wait, let's see. It goes up to 3. That's it.
Wow.
It's Vinny.
Oh, VPI.
I'm Vinny Politan. The subject of my investigation is the murder of a mom and stepdad who were asleep in their home in a very quiet neighborhood when they were shot to death. Now police believe the murderer lived in the house. The teenage daughter. Here's the story. Wow. Sarah Grace Patrick, age 17, is charged with the February 20th, 2025 murders of her mother, Kristen Brock, and her stepfather, James Brock, in their Carroll County, Georgia home. Their bodies were discovered in bed by her younger sister. Shortly after, Sarah called 911. Investigators say they uncovered mountains of physical and digital evidence, leading them to arrest her as an adult. Sarah turned herself in July and has been held without bond. Supporters describe her as faithful, kind, and deeply distraught, demanding proof beyond just the online clues. As the case proceeds towards trial in early 2026, the community waits and wonders, is Sarah Grace a grieving daughter or something far darker? So these days, when you have a case involving someone, in this case a defendant who is 17 years old, one place that you look to try to understand what's going on in their life and who they are and what they're about is social media. And in this case, Sarah Grace Patrick was active on social media, but it's really the tale of 2 different stories. I want to start by showing you some of the posts that she was doing before the murder of her mother and her stepfather. We begin on Instagram, and we take a look at this one with the caption, "Working on myself," the lips emoji. And this is one of those glamour shots, right? These are very, very common. Young men and young women posting them all the time. They get a lot of attention from it. You use some filters. You end up looking a little different, a little bit older than you actually are in this photo, if you've seen her in court. But that was one post. Here's the second post. Again, these are all before the murders. Mind over matter. Mind over matter. And again, somewhat glamorous, but here you have a little bit more of a casual type of pose inside a vehicle. Here's another one. Can't be bothered. And all of these, I mean, what we're hearing, like this stuff is extremely common. But this, again, another one of those glamour shots. You've got great lighting. Everything is framed properly. She's dressed up, again, appearing a little bit older than she does when she's inside of a courtroom. Now, let's take a look at one more from the before batch that we have for you tonight. And this one says, just sit back and watch. Okay. Again, pretty standard stuff. Go online. You will see thousands and thousands and thousands of teenagers doing
Yeah, this is normal.
Yeah, it's totally normal.
Yeah, everybody does this.
Exactly what Sarah Patrick was doing before the murders. Now, afterwards, she's on TikTok. And things are a little different. A very vulnerable moment, right?
Yeah, because she'd be sad, right?
Yeah.
The caption of this one, please send prayers for healing and for a break from everything. I'm so tired. I should probably delete later. This is a whole different version of Sarah Patrick that we're seeing. And her mother's dead. Her mother's shot in the house. She's in the house when it happens. The question is, did she or did she not do it? Stepfather.
Yeah. I
don't think this proves anything about whether or not she did it. She's upset after her mother was murdered. That sounds like the appropriate reaction.
I mean, is this their evidence?
Yeah, I don't understand.
Also shot to death. Let's take a look at another one. This one, life's hard, but at least I have my mom.
Well, why'd she say that if her mom was gone? Oh, maybe she's being sarcastic.
Sarcastic, yeah.
Yeah, I got it. Well, that's powerful, man.
Yeah, this is really sad.
We don't know the
She's like, I don't even have my mom anymore.
exact date of this one, but it could be before, but it's more likely afterwards. Life's hard, but at least I have my mom. Let's look at another one.
Oh.
It hasn't hit me yet that they're actually gone yet. It's public grieving, but again, not every teenager has a situation like this, but again,
teenagers do everything out in the public. Everything.
Yeah.
I don't go online. You will see teenagers do this. Be very.
Go ahead. What?
I was saying I don't see anything out of the ordinary with her behavior right now. Like I don't know.
No,
what
me either.
trying to prove, but
public with their emotions and what they're thinking.
I think Vinny probably thinks along the same lines as us right now. That's why he's doing this the way he is. But we'll see.
Let's take a look at the next one. This one. I know how it feels to have people saying the worst lies about you at your worst. And obviously this is after the murders, and there are rumblings, and there are, rumors and people pointing fingers.
Yeah.
And let's go to the last one from TikTok that we have. A caption on another TikTok. I'll never forget her last time speaking to me. She came in my room when I was in bed watching a show, and she told me good night in a deep voice, acting silly. I should have hugged her. So these are some of the after posts that Sarah Patrick put up there. Now, what else do we know about Sarah Patrick? Take a look at this, folks. This is from a motion filed by Sarah Grace Patrick's attorney. A motion in limine. Motion in limine is, we don't want this information in front of the jury. What do they not want in front of the jury? All comments relating to the defendant texting or having sex with other guys or any reference to the defendant's alleged sexual behavior or promiscuity.
Oh my God, they're going to try to slut shame her. Is that their legal strategy?
I don't know, but that, yeah, no, that sounds terrible.
All videos, posts, or pictures depicting or alluding to the sexual behavior of the defendant. All comments relating to the defendant's illicit drug use or hiding of drugs or drug paraphernalia.
Oh, and they're going to say because she smoked weed, she killed her parents?
Maybe.
Well, I haven't heard any evidence yet, and I know this isn't their evidence. It's a motion in limine, but still.
Yeah. I haven't heard any evidence either.
This is what the defense wants to keep out. So it seems that they are perhaps conceding that some of this evidence exists.
Of course it does.
Come
She's
on,
a
Vin.
teenager. Come on.
Come on, Vin.
No, it's not Vin. It's not his fault. I think he's thinking along the same lines as us. He's a former prosecutor.
But like, that's classic Vin. He's always the guy that's like,
yeah, both sides of the fence, right? He
Yeah,
has to be.
yeah.
I don't blame him too hard for that.
Right? You don't file a motion to preclude stuff if it doesn't exist. You usually don't. Brings us to the first question in our investigation tonight, an important one. Did social media play a role in what happened? I'm also interested, though, in this information.
Did social media play a role in what happened? He's saying that like she's the one who did it, and social media played a role. There's
That's
no
what I
evidence
meant.
of this.
that's what I meant about Vin. Vin takes the bait with this stuff all the time. He's always
Oh,
like,
come on, dude.
yeah.
From this motion to eliminate, let's bring in our guest. Joining me, true crime podcaster from Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi. Tony Bruschi's with
I
us.
don't see Tony Bruce.
And Georgia criminal defense attorney John Luke Weaver. Great to have you both here. I want to.
Oh,
This first
Brewski.
question I want to look at gave us an indication as to some of the specifics, and a lot of times we do have that information. We also know where this all took place. Let's take a look at the home. It's in Carroll County, Georgia, a very rural, suburban kind of location. People have property. The house is not huge. It is not sprawling, but it's a nice house. It's got, I believe, 3, maybe 4 bedrooms, all on one side of the house, on that right side of the house. If you take a look at it, we also have an image from up in the sky from the drone. And when you take a look at the drone footage, you can see, as you can see from those pictures, that, yeah, there's trees. There's no neighbor right next door to you. So gunshots in the middle of the night, I don't think are going to wake people up in that neighborhood. So let's kind of review here about what we do know about this case and what's been made public in terms of evidence or potential evidence. So Sarah Patrick's mother and stepfather found shot to death in their bed. That's Kristen and James Brock. February 2025 at their home in Carrollton, Georgia, Carroll County. Sarah Patrick's 6-year-old sister is the one who discovered the bodies. Sarah called 911 herself, but she was not arrested until July, 5 months later. 5 months it takes to build the case. Investigators say her digital footprint is of interest. The sheriff's office spokesperson didn't rule out more arrests.
Guilty by slut shaming. That's what this is sounding like.
Yeah, this is sounding like another Amanda Knox style, Foxy Knoxy type thing.
It sure does.
When asked about whether anyone else could be responsible. Now, Dennis Nolan is Sarah's grandfather, and as I mentioned, the father of Sarah's mom, so one of the victims in the case. Here's what he said about the evidence in the case.
For them to charge Sarah without, and I'll say this, the investigator told me the day they issued the warrant, when I asked him, I said, well, what proof why did you pick on Sarah? He said, well, she's the only one who could have done it.
Oh, God.
And that's a quote. But that's, to me, that's not enough proof to throw a 17-year-old girl in jail.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, that brings us to the next question in our investigation. All about the evidence. What type of evidence do prosecutors have in this case? Is it just, it couldn't be her 6-year-old sister, so it's her? She's the only one who could have done it? Do they have the forensics? Is this a DNA case? I don't think they have a murder weapon. Let's bring in our guest. Joining me, retired police commander, author.
I mean, when I was a teenager, I would stay up really late at night and wear headphones with music really loud. And I
Yeah.
would even fall asleep with those in. So
Yeah.
somebody could have came in and done something to my family and I wouldn't have woken up. I wouldn't have heard
Absolutely.
it.
I don't know why the default is to go after the oldest daughter and say, oh, well, she must have done it because no one else could have done it. Like, what? There's plenty of other things that could happen.
Yeah.
And host of the podcast Profiling Evil, Mike King, is with us, and still with us, Georgia criminal defense attorney John Luke Weaver. All right, Mike, a lot of confidence, I sense. Do you think they have the evidence to back this up? And it's a different kind of case, right? Because it's not a stranger. So if her DNA is in the home, her DNA is in the home.
Yeah, Vinny, I think that's going to be a challenge. But if law enforcement was able to collect evidence on site that would link Sarah to the crimes, that's going to be incredibly valuable. And go forward and say we're going to do we're going to charge this girl as an adult, and to say we have mountains of evidence makes me think that they may have things. I mean,
Did she have access to guns?
No idea. But where do they live? Middle of nowhere?
Yeah.
This is, yeah, she probably did. That's why you don't keep guns.
And if they found her fingerprints on a weapon, like they would have arrested her sooner. They can run those really quick.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a lot of circumstantial, like made up stuff.
I think they're just going to try to slut shame her into guilt.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure what type of weapon was used in this homicide or these homicides, whether it was a semi-automatic weapon that possibly could have discharged casings that were laying on the ground that might have a fingerprint on them or DNA from the person who loaded that weapon and fired it, or if it was a revolver and those were retained in the weapon and disappeared. We don't know if the weapon belonged to the father or the home or it originated somewhere else, but there undoubtedly are digital trails of a lot of things that we're not aware of. And there's also forensic evidence that we're not aware of. We don't know if there were tests like gunshot residue on Sarah's hands, or if there was any kind of blowback debris from the wounds that these two people suffered, and did that end up in clothing that was later collected that would tie her back to the actual scene versus what she was wearing when law enforcement arrived. Those kinds of things are the pieces of evidence, physical evidence, forensic.
And these, I got to be honest, these photos are so typical of a teenager. I can't believe that they're trying to make them seem like photos to slut shame her with.
Yeah, I agree.
They're so typical.
Forensic evidence that I think are going to really play out on this, not to mention the incredible boatload of digital evidence that must be available. We don't know if there were things that were on her mobile devices that
You don't know anything,
Arrested the
dude.
teenage daughter whose freckle-faced mugshot went viral. Here's the story. In Carroll County, Georgia, a quiet rural home became a crime scene that stunned even seasoned investigators. Sarah Grace Patrick, just 17 years old, stands accused of killing her mother, Kristen Brock, and stepfather, James Brock. Their bodies found shot to death in bed by her 6-year-old sister. Moments later, Sarah Grace called 911. Detectives say her story didn't add up. Digital trail, social media posts, and private messages allegedly pointed back to her. After months of investigation, she surrendered to police and now faces murder charges as an adult. Prosecutors call her manipulative and dangerous, while supporters describe a faithful, broken teenager incapable of such violence. With no bond and a trial looming, the mystery deepens. What drove a beloved church-going girl?
No bond?
No.
What?
Yeah, this is crazy.
Be at the
This is insane.
Yeah, this is crazy.
center of an unthinkable crime. Was it premeditation or an alleged moment of chaos that destroyed a family and left a community grasping for answers?
Notice how he said that too.
So when we talk about family in this,
Said what?
He was like, was it premeditated or a moment of chaos? In no place, there's no room in that statement for, or she didn't do it.
Well, I think that's what he might have meant by moment of, oh, yeah, that's true.
That's Vinny. Vin's always like, he's super prosecutor. He just takes the side of whatever the prosecution and the police say, and that's all of a sudden the facts of the story. And you would think if they had hard evidence.
You're right. He should have said, or an attacker came into the home.
Yeah. Because
I remember hearing that like her parents like sold weed or something like that.
Oh, weird.
case, it's another situation where we're talking about a blended family, right? Because Sarah's mom and dad no longer together. Mom gets remarried. And that's one of the victims in the case is the stepfather and her mother living in that house. Now, the way things are sort of breaking down, when we hear from people from the stepfather's side of the family, they believe that Sarah Grace is responsible for this. And then you go on the other side of the family, it's not as clear, and a lot of people are questioning whether or not she did this. And so she has supporters. So let's hear some of the various people who are supporting her, family and family friends, starting with her father, Daniel Patrick, who spoke with Newsweek.
I know 100% in my heart that Sarah's innocent. She's a typical 17-year-old that, lived like a teenager, and she would never do this. As a father, this has been one of the most hurtful things in my life. I'm sorry, but it's just hard.
There was nothing, DJ, her father, he's a good person, and he and Kristen got along very well. They had their disagreements, but they had been divorced for so long that they got along quite well, and they were cooperative, and Sarah would go visit him at times. They had their disagreements, just like any teenage daughter would have with a mother. But Sarah was a good kid. I mean, she really was. I'm just in total shock. I mean, because she, first of all, the length of time that's passed, and the fact that they arrested her without any evidence that I know of. Everything seems circumstantial. And
if he knows everything that we know, there is no evidence.
Yeah. That's what it sounds like.
If it comes out that she was texting some guy, I want to do this, or will you do this, or is it done after that happened? I would question it, but that's not, wouldn't that be out there?
Yeah, and I feel like if they had that kind of evidence, wouldn't they have just arrested her really quickly? It seems like they just kind of like exhausted all their resources and then decided, well, no, it's the daughter.
I think they were just desperate to arrest someone and to try, because the case was open for months. A lot of investigation. I know they tried hard to find the murder weapon. They tried hard to find who was involved. They investigated a lot of people. You take a 100-pound girl and you hand her a 9mm pistol and you ask her to fire it, who doesn't have a lot of, I don't know if Sarah had ever shot a gun before. She was here, and whenever we shot guns, they were rifles. I never saw her shoot a pistol, but I just can't imagine, the accuracy that gun had in her hand.
Whose gun is it?
I'm assuming it's the parents' gun.
I don't think it could happen.
As our relationship grew, she began to open up to me about her past and experiences with Kristen and James. One thing she said that has always stayed with me was, no matter what they've done, I will always forgive them and love them, because deep down, I know that's not who they truly are. The statement showed the depth of Sarah's heart.
My name is Ben Bonner, and I serve as lead pastor at Catalyst Church in Carrollton, Georgia. She has continued to attend services regularly. She and her family often travel over an hour just to be with us.
This brings us to the next question in our investigation. Is Sarah Patrick capable of double murder? And you can have the words cold-blooded there, right? Someone's sleeping. That's cold-blooded double murder. Still with me, True Crime.
You're just saying no?
Yeah. I don't think she is. I bet Tony thinks she is.
Accused double killer.
Yeah, I think that, any attempt by the state to use evidence like that really reflects on probably weaknesses in their case, right? When we see prosecutors try to turn it into a character battle where they just want to smear this person and make the jury not like them, that's really a risky strategy for the state, because if you look towards appeal or something like that, the appellate courts can look harshly on the state for trying to. It
is so disgusting that they will take something to trial like this when they have no evidence.
Yep, I agree.
If they have it, great. If they don't, it's too bad. Like, you can't just, just do this.
If her life was not already bad enough, considering what happened to her parents, now you're going to drag her name through the mud. Now you got Vinnie Politan essentially already referring to her as like a criminal, as a murderer. She has to live the rest of her life with all this baggage. This is terrible.
Introduce that type of character evidence. So a lot of times, if the state has a very strong case, as they claim to have in the press, at least we haven't really seen it yet, as far as I've seen. That is telling to me as far as maybe the strength of their case. So, hey, they're taking this position where we're just going to try to make the jury just not like her and make her look like some sort of bad person because she's a teenager who's done, smoked some pot and has done whatever else that, frankly, is not relevant whatsoever to whether she committed murder or not. Now, if they got some smoking gun that ties the drug,
those are all normal teenage things, and they're not modern things. Those are things that we were doing like over 20 years ago.
People were doing them in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
Use or something into a motive, then I see that coming in. I see it being appropriate. But unless they have that, unless they can link that back up, I don't see a way where that is, what we would call probative, right? That it makes something that matters more likely to be true or not in the trial.
All right. Ryan's going to stick around. Tony Bruschi, great job tonight, as always. Thank you so much. Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi. Check it out, folks. Coming up next, why is the defense using a neuropsychologist in this case?
I'm going to ask you a lot of intensely personal questions. From the crime scene.
Really was. I mean, I'm her grandfather. She and I were very close. And she was a wonderful little girl.
Sarah Patrick, her grandfather is convinced, and his daughter is the victim in all this, one of the two victims. So his opinion does have some meaning here. Take a look. In a recent hearing, Sarah Patrick in court, the defense said that they are waiting on a report from a neuropsychologist that they hired. A neuropsychologist. That person did a mental evaluation of Sarah over multiple visits. Prosecutor said the results could lead them to get their own evaluation. And this is the one thing that could delay the trial from beginning right at the start of the new year. Take a listen to the judge and the attorneys talking about it.
On August 19th, our office was receiving services of Dr. Robert Schaefer, who is a forensic neurologist, neuropsychologist, to evaluate Ms. Patrick. All in all, he's completed the evaluation, but he has not given me a formal written report.
Then we'll set it down for the case is set for January 5th, and we'll proceed on schedule.
This is interesting. In a lot of the cases that we cover, when a site comes in, I hear forensic psychiatrist coming in. But here, it's a different type of expert, I think. And that brings us to the final question this hour. Why is the defense using a neuropsychologist in this case? Neuropsychologist. Joining me, psychotherapist and founder of the Renew Center of Florida and Renew Me, Dr. Lisa Palmer is with us, and still with us, Georgia criminal defense attorney Ryan Brown. Great to have you both with us right now. All right, Dr. Palmer, let me ask you first, neuropsychologist. What does that mean? Is that a different type of expertise here?
Well, in the context of a legal case, it'd be very similar to a biopsychosocial, but when they're evaluating the defendant, they're going to be looking at, all aspects and how it relates specifically legally. And a lot of times when they're doing these kind of evaluations, it's a bit more scientific. And so based on that, they're going to be seeing, what was the intent of the defendant, what it was the, cognitive abilities of the defendant, and how did it affect insight and judgment. And that is going to ultimately affect the turnout of the case. So it is really, really important in this case.
All right, Ryan Brown, what are your thoughts here about the defense getting this neuropsychologist as an expert? What does it tell you? Why are they doing this?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. One, this court, and I practice in this court all the time. This is in my backyard. This judge particularly is going to keep a tight schedule. So the defense definitely had to get ahead of things. And, this is honestly on the quicker end of how quickly you would have an expert in a case probably being able to evaluate someone. But when we're dealing with someone at this age, and where there is at least some hints that there may be evidence of some sort of traumatic, or at least a couple, if not more, traumatic events in the past, whether it be witnessing any domestic issues or things that she's been through, we're looking at someone whose age, the brain is not completely developed. We may be trying to evaluate from the defense standpoint how someone of her age would react to certain scenarios, how a 17-year-old's brain may process and react differently to someone who's 37 or 47 or even 27, right? Especially when we start talking about the social media stuff. That's been something that both the law enforcement and the court of public opinion has been really focused on is, hey, this is why is she acting this way? Why does she behave this way, right?
Behave what way? She's behaving normally that I've seen.
That is something that an expert can come talk about, right? Is, hey, this is the brain of a 17-year-old. Are they responding how they should respond? Who gets to decide whether someone's TikTok or Instagram is an appropriate response, right? So there's kind of two ways the defense could be going. Is it, hey, we need to focus on the things that were happening online immediately afterwards and whether they were appropriate or not? Do they tend to make it more true that maybe she did this? Or is it, hey, how she responded to things that have happened in the past to her, and could it have made it more or less likely that this case happened, that she did this?
Dr. Palmer, how does this evaluation go? How do you get the information?
Right. So one of the things is scanning documents and looking at documents that are out there. So they're going to be talking to different officials. They're going to be looking at her history, everything from, her medical and health history to what's happened in school, to interviews with family members and friends and people who may have known her, to see if she's had some kind of a history, if there's a documentation of previous records of incidences. They're going to be looking at all of that, and they're going to be doing neurological testing as well, and also seeing if she has a previous mental health history. So if she had ever been to counseling or had ever had issues regarding mood instability or substance abuse or a variety of factors like trauma and how trauma can affect somebody, and if there's any dissociation there, if she's had any instances of that, what her emotional regulation is, what's her memory, and how all of these factors will play a part in sort of the design of this person mentally. And then that's going to help to paint a picture as you're gathering the evidence of what she said or didn't do in the eulogy and online and whatnot. It will paint a better picture of what's going on.
More of an explanation. Yeah, that makes sense. So it's not necessarily going to be an admission that she did it. It can be explaining some of the surrounding behavior. Great job tonight, Dr. Lisa Palmer. Great to have you here. Ryan Brown, thank you so much. This trial.
All right.
I don't like that. I don't like where that's headed.
I don't like where this is headed either. We're definitely going to watch this trial, though.
Yeah, but that's terrible. That poor girl. Like, I don't I haven't seen anything that would suggest she killed her parents, and the fact that Vin and the prosecution are just gonna jump to that conclusion with no evidence is crazy to me.
It's insane.
It's just
wow. Well, that's all I have for you tonight to talk